Welcome everyone to a new episode.
Hey, how you doing?
Can you
Keep going.
I want to do the intro.
Go ahead.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of Movies Are Back, yet another podcast hosted by two dudes talking about movies.
Why do you gotta have this self-deprecating tone?
It's not self-deprecating. We are two
Yet
dudes.
another. That's so.
Well, there's
You're
so
snarky.
many out there.
You're snarky about it.
What would you?
Who cares?
What would you like to say then?
Just say two dudes talking about movies and that's it.
But are we yet another podcast? There are many
No.
podcasts out there.
I don't care.
Okay.
Two dudes.
All right.
All right. Launch us into the topics, Chrissy. What do we got
That's
today?
fine. I'm your host, Christopher John. With me is my very demanding and
Persnickety.
forthright co-host, Rhys Starling.
Hello.
I have some surprise news for you, Rhys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll drop this on the podcast. Guess what?
I don't know.
I found my earphones.
Oh, good for you, brother. This guy lost a $400 pair of earphones. How did you...
Lost, in quotes.
He left him in the cinema.
No.
He calls them.
I had this thing.
Well, they weren't even in the cinema.
No.
What, they're in the car or some shit?
No, they were in my bed sheets.
Oh my God.
It didn't look correctly.
Why did you even think they were in the cinema?
Because I'm not very smart, okay?
They're easy to lose, I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They're a small black pill case, and I remember I tossed them. I remember I did this. I tossed them into my bed sheets, and then I just went about my day. And then before we left to go see you, I went, "Where's my earphones?" And then thought that I lost them. In that moment, panicked, called the cinema thinking that I've left them. They said, "Oh, we haven't found
Yeah,
anything."
and then you went on this great rant about how useless and rude they are.
You were already doing that.
I'm allowed to do that, but you were really coming from a place of hatred. I was just indulging
because
you.
I hate losing shit, okay?
Yeah, but don't take it out on them. That's all I'm saying.
No, I didn't say that to them directly. I just said it under my breath, in private.
You invite bad karma that way.
You. So look,
good for you. I'm glad you
happy.
found him.
I'm in a much better mood.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we will have to start our episode this fortnight with a bit of sad news. Recent passing of Daveigh Chase, who, if people don't know...
Oh, yeah, Lilo and Stitch.
She was the original voice actress for Lilo in the original Lilo and Stitch. She was also the English language dub actor for Chihiro in Spirited Away.
Was she?
Yeah, she was. And she was also one of the three actresses who played Samara in the Ring movie from 2002, the remake.
What was the last thing she did?
Unfortunately, she hadn't acted since 2016.
Yeah.
She had struggled with drug usage since she was about 13.
Did see some blurry photo of her on Skid Row.
Yeah.
Horrific looking.
Yeah, her father confirmed her passing at the age of 35, which is awful. She had actually been homeless before that.
Yeah.
And she passed away from meningitis and a blood infection from that, which is a very common way that a lot of people who are in poorer health or, haven't been able to look after themselves, particularly in her case, it's very, very common, unfortunately. But 35 is just terrible. That's a terrible case.
Yeah, I didn't really know her, but the circumstances of it are just so sad.
Yeah, and that's the worst.
Sorry
to start that, but it was just one of those major things that I think has definitely affected.
Yeah, well, I love Lilo and Stitch as a kid, exactly.
I think Chris Sanders, the original director, he posted a little hand-drawn.
Yeah, I saw that. That was sweet.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
We'll move on from there. As for oldest news first, over the last 2 weeks, this may not affect you, but it's definitely still in my brain. Doctor Who. I don't know if you heard about Doctor Who news recently.
They're going on some hiatus.
Yeah. So,
probably warranted. Hasn't been doing, from what I'm hearing, it hasn't been in any good kind of shape for years.
And Rhys, have you ever watched Doctor Who?
I've seen bits here and there. I've seen one episode, and it was one with David Tennant.
Yeah.
And he's in some mysterious library.
Oh, that one's good. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, that's a solid one.
Yeah, it's not my thing, but I respect people who like Doctor Who.
See, I reckon...
My dad loves Tom Baker Doctor Who.
I mean, same as my dad as well. I think all dads love the sort of Tom Baker. Maybe...
I mean, he thinks like Star Wars is stupid, and he takes Tom Baker Doctor Who dead serious.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think because he watched it when he was a kid.
I mean, look, that definitely changes things. So yeah, Doctor Who currently, it was supposed to have... This wasn't fully confirmed, but it was very highly suspected they were going to have a Christmas special coming out in December of this year.
Well, they usually do that every year, don't they?
Not particularly every year. Sometimes they skip it. I think they skipped it for 2016 for whatever reason it was then. But this year it's been skipped entirely because basically they have, in the BBC's words, put the show out for competitive tender, which doesn't mean they've killed it. They've cancelled it because it's
so they're going to sell the show.
No, not so much as they tried to sell it. They had a whole distribution deal with Disney in 2020. They started in 2023 because that was kind of kicked off with the 60th anniversary. Like, cool, it's the big anniversary year. Wanting to make this sort of big play of, look, we'll go with a massive streamer. We'll get the show out there across the world. And it kind of worked for the 60th anniversary specials because they were big blockbuster type events. But even they were a little weird. And I'm a massive fan of the show. I've been watching it since I was like 8. I still have DVDs.
Would you agree that it's been on a huge decline?
I don't know.
Is that the consensus?
So the way that I've seen the show, because I also rewatched the entire thing in 2023 to lead up to the anniversary. So I kind of remembered how great the show has been in the past, how sometimes it's also been quite bad. I enjoy the Jodie Whittaker years, the first female Doctor. I enjoy her and her performance, but I hate her episodes because they're very, very poorly written and they were very poorly structured.
Yeah.
So that kind of caused, I think, a lot of problems with me. I was like, oh, this show needs to get better than this. And it kind of did. And I'll be honest, Ncuti Gatwa became the Doctor after David Tennant came back or whatever. And his first series in 2024, solid, rock solid. I went back to look at some of the episodes and they're all great. They're all really, really, really good. Maybe the first two are a bit weaker, but after that, it gets into some very heavy-hitting sort of plot themes and even the sort of resolution of that series I thought was very, very well done. And that made me so excited. I was like, cool, this is fantastic. Let's lead into the next one. And the next one came out the very next year, last year. And it had some pretty good episodes, but the ending, I have now realized, was so piss poor and left such a bad taste in my mouth and the mouth of many other fans, even people who are super dedicated. We're not talking about those assholes out there who want to say, well, the show's too woke nowadays. Like, it's Doctor Who. They've always been like this. They've dealt with racism. They've dealt with class issues. They've dealt with sexism back in the 60s and 70s. All right. They've always been like this. The problem is more of, it doesn't make any sense anymore, the way that the show is written, even just the sort of the overarching story. They used to be very influenced by Buffy. They'd have like a whole series of episodes in a season, and it would lead to some big bad that they would tease throughout the series. I think that worked in the initial years, but when you're still doing that in 2024, 2025, I'm like, no, you gotta really, really refocus what the focus of the show is. I think it once did that with Peter Capaldi, which was about, 12, 11 years ago now. His era, I think, is actually some of the very best that the show has ever been, but that's now more than a decade old. And the show can be good, but I think it needs a full, fresh, coat of paint. I think it needs...
Well, isn't that the idea when they get a new actor, they reboot the show every season?
Well, technically, and I've always been okay with that, but the problem was that with Ncuti Gatwa's era, it wasn't a clean, fresh reboot because they brought back Russell T Davies, who was the original showrunner when they revived the show back in 2005. And he did a great job back then of actually bringing the show back out, giving it a bit more juice because at that point it had been dead for 16 years. But bringing him back again in the modern era, he tried really, really hard to make everything representational. We've got a trans character here, we've got a disabled character there, and some of it was interesting, but some of it just felt like they're just kind of, putting it out there just to save face. Just to be like, haha, see, we've got a deaf character. I'm like, okay.
You gonna tell an interesting story with that or not?
It doesn't. That's the problem. They just kept doing it. And worst part was they would have one disabled actor and then the next series they replace him with another one. Just to kind of have, oh look, it's a diversity of that type. I'm like, but why couldn't we just stick with the same character and learn more about them? Nope, we've got a new guy. Okay, fine. Sure, whatever. I didn't understand it from that production angle. And also it felt very rushed. It was very obvious that the last episodes that they were doing, the last two, were completely reshot, that they really changed their minds like midstream because the actual plot of those episodes makes zero sense whatsoever. And Ncuti Gatwa leaves under stupid circumstances that again, I'm someone that can really get on board with some of the most ridiculous aspects of this show. And even I was sitting there thinking, what the hell was that?
So BBC is like doing what? Putting it out for tender? What does that mean?
That means that they're going, because they've lost now the production company. Because
Okay.
BBC is basically, they're the TV station, but they need a production company to handle this. So they had Bad Wolf, which was Russell T Davies' production company. They're all gone now. They've been let off, which honestly, I'm happy about. I'm happy that Russell T Davies is gone because I don't think that he was doing the show any good.
Yeah.
All right. He's been there from the very beginning for 21 years, off and on, off and on. You need fresh blood. You need new writers. You need new people who, those guys that revived the show, they were all influenced by the classic era. You need new writers and directors who are more influenced by what it is today. Not what it was back in 67 or 76 or 89 or whatever. You need people that are here today actually caring about what the show is, since it was Christopher Eccleston or David Tennant or Matt Smith, which is now a long time ago.
It's true, because at the time, it seemed like that was a very fresh tonal approach to Doctor Who with the red Converses, and it was still recognizably Doctor Who. But even that Christopher Eccleston, it seemed a bit edgier with the black trench coat.
That was the intention. And I think...
and it's like, it doesn't seem like they're trying to do anything to refresh the aesthetic of it.
And then I've gone on about Doctor Who, I got a lot now, but Peter Capaldi's years, in particularly, it was Series 9 in 2015. That stretch of episodes were very different because each one was a two-parter rather than having singular episodes. And you were able to tell much more fleshed out, much more mature stories. In fact, some of them got extremely dark. Like, there's a whole episode where it's just him, literally just the Doctor, no one else, stuck in a prison encased in time, and that he's stuck in for billions of years, and he has to punch through a diamond wall. And it's the most like hardcore, like, how did you come up with this type stuff? But it's awesome. When I was rewatching, I was like, this is the best time for this show. This was the best episodes. He is the best Doctor to me, honestly. And I now kind of mourn the fact that it hasn't really got to that. Again, I've appreciated and I've liked a lot of new stuff, but it needs just to be really just like clean slate. Don't even get any of the people from before. Like, I want all new writers. I want a whole clean slate writers room to really, really think about how can this show work for not only younger viewers, but into like what is today, and not just based on representation, but based on like themes and concepts that we are dealing with here today. Because that's what Doctor Who has done. You know, Stephen Moffat, who was one of the previous showrunners, had a great quote about the show, which is, Doctor Who is at its best when they've written the plot line for an episode and the writer says to themselves, well, I've blown that feature film idea. That you can take something that could be the best movie and you've boiled it down to 45 minutes. You boiled it down to the very best version of what that idea is within those constraints. And I feel like the show can be like that, but it might be quite a while before we get back to that sort of thing.
Well, here's hoping for Doctor Who fans.
I'm still optimistic, but also this news just didn't surprise me, to be honest. We also got new trailers for The Social Reckoning and Spider-Man Brand New Day. I cannot think of two more different trailers in terms of how they were received.
I don't know about the reception of The Social Reckoning trailer, but I wasn't really impressed.
No, exactly, and that's what I mean. Like, there's just kind of like people like, oh, that's it?
Didn't really... It felt a bit desperate. They were putting in that social network theme with the piano to remind you of so even though it's nothing to do with that, like, yes, it is about Mark Zuckerberg, and
it's Aaron Sorkin
who
wrote the original. He's now directing and writing this new,
but it's, it's not a follow-up to that. I mean, Jeremy Strong's performance seems very, I don't know, it just seems like a caricature. Like, Jesse Eisenberg was very interesting as that guy. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, I'm judging just on the trailer, but I'm like, this is just very showy crap, like the way he's impersonating him.
It feels much more, because The Social Network, David Fincher's film, it feels like a David Fincher movie. It doesn't feel like it's trying to reach for anything more than what Fincher himself is interested in, which is, he always talks about how, like, he's interested in, like, the perversions of society and how you can rise, like, that sort of concept of this guy's rising to the top and he just is letting go, dear friends.
Well, it's a very human story. I mean, he's a guy driven really by his insecurities, and it's compelling.
And that's a Fincher sort of content. Like, he's interested in that sort
and
of
this
stuff.
is going to be what, like, Aaron Sorkin grandstanding, like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not really that interested.
Sorkin as a writer, you look at the movies that he's written, and it's a terrific track record. A Few Good Men, Social Network. He co-wrote Moneyball as well. Like, tons of great films. But
he's hit and miss for me. Like, sometimes he's great, sometimes he's...
But his directorial career is just nothing. Like, he did Trial of Chicago 7, which is fine. It's like a poor man's Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
He also did
Molly's Game,
which is nothing.
It's okay.
He did Being the Ricardos, which is awful. When this was announced, I just kept thinking, oh, is he director? Cool. It's going to be a 5 out of 10 at best.
Is he directing The Social Network?
Yes, he is. That's why it also, like, you look at a lot of people point out from the trailer, like, it doesn't also look visually very, because again, David Fincher
looks like poor man's David Fincher.
Exactly.
Too.
Like, Fincher has this specific, very precise, clinical way of shooting his movies that I find incredibly satisfying. I'm very excited about Adventures of Cliff Booth on that level, because I just want to get more Fincher visuals. But I cannot say that Sorkin has a visual style. He just kind of sits the camera where it seems to be most logical, and then just lets the actors play out his.
He wants his dialogue to shine more than anything.
Exactly. He gets in the way of himself.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I could see that in the trailer, and it's just, I don't know, look, you got Mikey Madison. She's fresh off of her Best Actress win for Anora.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I'd be interested in watching it, but
Same
the rest
here.
of it did nothing for me.
Yeah. But then the other trailer is Brand New Day, which, again, that's...
Yeah.
How many millions is it up now in, like, the first, couple of days of release of the trailer? It's crazy numbers. I think it got 1 million views in an hour or something like that. Some stupid record that it's just immediately broken.
Yeah.
Which I'm not surprised by.
Well, I think you got, like, obviously Spider-Man is a very popular character, but you've got Tom and Zendaya.
Yeah.
Have never been more, I don't know, they're like A-listers now.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you can't discount the fact that in the past few years, like, you've had the Spider-Verse movies and the Spider-Man PS5 games have probably brought in a whole younger generation of fans.
No Way Home was grossed up $1.8 billion.
Yeah, that was that was really widely a loved movie.
Yeah.
So it's the hype for it doesn't surprise me. And, the plot is it seems very influenced by the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Okay. I'm excited to get that as well.
There's this one sort of episode called Neogenic Nightmare, where Peter's mutating into like a monster. Punisher's hunting him down. The X-Men are involved. So this seems pretty, influenced by that, which is cool.
Do you think that there's too many villains? Because we've got Scorpion, we've got...
No, I think they're going to do a thing where, like, in Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, that was going to start with a montage of him rounding up, like, battling C-lister villains.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see that.
They're going to do that for Brand New Day.
Okay.
I bet you. And the main villain will be, who knows yet.
Yeah, because there's still, and we talked about this off
some
air.
Psychic thing.
Yeah, the psychic thing, which is character played by Sadie Sink,
yeah.
which has still got a little bit more. There's a little bit more in this trailer. We've actually now kind of seen what seems to be her whole costume or whatever. Keith David is in this movie. He has a voiceover in the first trailer. Don't know what he's playing. Tremel Tillman from Severance is also in the movie, but again, we don't know who he's playing. It's a lot of mystery, which I like, because I'm going to go into this thinking could go any way.
Well, Tom Holland was saying we wanted it to feel kind of almost like a detective movie.
Terrific.
Like a mystery is happening, which is a new approach for a Spider-Man movie where it's like, what's going on? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And, there's a sense of discovery. Keeps it fresh.
Exactly.
So like, and it looks great. And I'm very excited.
Now, there's out.
Big visual upgrade as well.
Yes.
Can't discount that.
God.
Looks fantastic. And the costume.
I enjoy the other Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I think they're very fun. I think they're in a lot of ways they actually are better than, even just like the focus on the character, I think can sometimes be better than some of the previous movies. But yeah, visually they were always a bit like, they were just fine, as any Marvel movie in the past had been fine. But much like a lot of Marvel movies now, the visuals have just been upgraded. I don't know what happened before, but now they're just going, oh, hey, we found this under a rock. It's called Contrast. Just a fresh concept. We don't have to make night shoots look like, it's just two shades of grey.
And it's just refreshing to actually see a man in a practical suit. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have even the face shell, I don't think. Like,
no,
it's just him in an outfit.
People have noticed that there's sort of scenes where he's talking through the mask and you actually can see like his ears, you can see his mouth moving. Like, yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see the idea that Tom Holland has actually got that mask on and it's not just that weird face shell, which sometimes is a bit meh.
Yeah, I really think the practical approach to it is actually genuinely getting people excited as well.
Yeah.
So, which, rightfully so. So,
do you think this is going to make more money than No Way Home? Because
I think so.
Really, $1.8 billion
It'll beat No Way Home.
All right, we'll have to see in July 31st.
You can buy me a fucking steak dinner if I'm right.
No problem. Kind of rough news. The Paramount buyout of Warner Brothers has been approved by the U.S. Department of Justice.
Oh, of course, who did they bribe in the Trump administration?
I mean, I read the Variety article about this. Some details that I didn't know, that Paramount's current chief legal officer was also the former head of the Department of Justice's antitrust division during Trump's first term.
Well, look at that.
Exactly. So it's all there. Apparently, some insiders towards this were saying that the Department of Justice was very clearly not going to approve this, but then at the last minute just went, nah, it's fine. Go ahead for it. This $111 billion.
Paramount will own Warner Brothers.
They'll own this. That's also if the lawsuits that are coming from California, New York, and a bunch of other states, they're planning to sue the hell out of this. They don't want this to happen because it's bad. It's going to cause thousands of layoffs. It's
already a highly struggling industry, Hollywood.
Exactly. You're going to wipe billions of dollars off the stock market immediately. This is not going to improve stock market value. This is going to wipe billions out there just immediately. And it's going to go straight, those billions lost are going to go straight into the pockets of other stupidly wealthy people who do not deserve more money.
Yeah.
The EU lawmakers and that sort of thing are trying to stop $24 billion going towards this, which is fronted by, this is the worst part about this, $24 billion of the $111 billion that the David Ellison and Larry Ellison, who are behind Paramount, they're trying to buy Warner Brothers with $24 billion of sovereign wealth from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi.
Oh, is this when people were talking about that shit about Saudi Arabia owning Netflix or something?
That was the idea. That was the initial idea, because Netflix was going to buy Warner Brothers. But that's the thing, like, Saudi Arabia has already put billions and billions of dollars into all manner of funds that contribute to, like, buying out sports leagues.
They've already ruined... I don't care about golf, but they've ruined golf.
Yeah, they had.
They're ruining comedy.
But Live Golf has collapsed at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
They realized, there's no money to be made in this. We put all this money there. It's not going.
Well, it didn't help that you spent fucking $11 billion per player, like whatever ridiculous payment they get.
To play devil's advocate, I think that this sort of buyout will end up going through, no matter how much these places, lawmakers and lawyers from different countries and states, whatever, want to put up their fronts. I think that it will go through, but here's what I think will happen. Sure, thousands will be fired, billions will be lost, and the movies will most likely be shit.
Yeah,
the movies that Paramount...
Definitely.
We just got the DC universe up and running, and Paramount are going to decimate that thing, and James Gunn's going to get fired, and we will not see a Superman 3.
if it's doing well, they might leave it.
We'll see how Supergirl does, but
yeah.
I also think that because Paramount, they're already, like, Skydance, which is David Ellison's company, bought Paramount. So they had to spend a lot of billions of dollars to buy Paramount itself, and then to spend $111 billion to buy out Warner Brothers. That means that they themselves are in debt. And what are they inheriting? Sure, bunch of movie, conglomerates and distribution deals and TV channels, and they also own Warner Records. Also, they'll own like a massive stake in TikTok, but that also means debt. More and more debt. They'll accumulate so much debt, and they'll realize, none of this is profitable. All of this is hemorrhaging money year after year. So they'll just get themselves in more and more and more debt. And I predict that maybe even by the end of this decade, they'll realize none of this is valuable. They'll sell it off to the highest bidders.
And we'll go back to a pre-monopolistic thing.
Exactly. But it'll get so dispersed that it will just basically cause like zero value for half of this stuff. And we'll just have like a wasteland of entertainment. But I think in that way, we've seen this now with Backrooms and Obsession doing so well. Places like A24 and Neon, or even like the sort of the smaller arms of other companies, they will rise up because they'll start making movies that people genuinely want to watch. They don't need to see $250 million movies about Masters of the Universe or whatever. They'll go watch the $750,000 horror movie a lot and have that be the sort of the champion of the industry. That I feel like it will reset. It'll take a long ass time, and we're still going to lose a lot more money, and a lot more people are going to lose their jobs. But that's the reality that they're facing that they don't want to think about, so they're just going to ride it out, basically.
Well, that's the long term.
Look,
who knows how fucking bullshit it will get.
I'm no Nostradamus, but that's where my mind's
I think it's reasonable. I mean, it's too big to sustain itself at that point. It's just too much shit.
I also want to do a little thing, because I like to look at these things over the last 2 weeks. Box office updates. We mentioned Backrooms Obsession. They're still doing a fantastic. Backrooms has become A24's highest grossing movie ever.
Is that at 300 now?
It's at 272. But on a $10 million budget, that is just profit all the way down.
Wait, I mean Obsession is Obsession.
Obsession is now at $300 million.
God.
On a $750,000
Is that the most profitable movie ever made?
I think it's going to get up there. I think it's definitely going to, because the most profitable, I think, is still Paranormal Activity, because that was $100,000 and it made like $400 million. Hi there, Christopher here. Just a correction on what I just said. No, Paranormal Activity did not make $400 million worldwide. It made $194, but was produced on a budget between $15,000 and $450,000. The most profitable movie ever, I think, it's hard to say because technically profit can still come from massive blockbusters like Force Awakens or any of the Fast and Furious movies, really. But the most profitable, let's say, independent movie of all time is still The Blair Witch Project, which on a budget of $350,000 made $248 million in 1999. That's a record of 70,000% return on investment. So maybe Obsession's still got a bit to go there. So we'll see.
God, how do you even follow up Obsession? You have all eyes on you now. It's like,
He's already signed, Curry Barker's already signed a 8-figure deal with Universal to make whatever
wow,
at this point. Which,
you got a blank check now.
Hell yeah. Like, I love that. I love
that's
that for
cool.
him.
That's exciting. Yeah.
He's got a new movie that he's already pretty much like done at this point. Like,
really?
He's going to hit the ground running. He's not going to take 5 years off. No, he's going to just keep this momentum.
Well, your 20s are your productive years, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, cool.
Scary Movie 6 had a great first weekend and then dropped 74%.
Yeah, because then everyone realized, oh, wait a minute, this stinks.
This is awful.
And then
it still made its money. It's $181 million worldwide.
Well, it's a cheap movie, isn't it?
Yeah. For sure, on $30 million. But big story was Masters of the Universe is bombing, and I'm not surprised. I'm not.
I told you it's a box office.
You didn't need to tell me.
I told you, box office disgrace.
Which is not inaccurate at all. But the thing is, like, the movie's made $92 million.
It's not going to even crack
on
100.
a $200 million budget.
Why would you spend that much?
I don't know. See, I don't know. You could have spent maybe $130, and I still think that might have even been the.
You know what?
Too much.
Canon made this movie for cheap in 1987,
$2 a dream,
and it still bombed.
Yeah,
like in
exactly.
the fucking 1987.
But the thing is, this isn't confirmed. Apparently, Jeff Bezos is just a big Master of the Universe fan, so he's just like, I don't care. Like, this is just
as long as he's entertained by the movie. He's like, let's make another one.
Guess what?
For me.
Yeah, they've even said, oh, we're going to do a sequel. I'm like, why? I mean,
just
fine,
for him.
whatever.
Just for him.
Because really, like, Amazon, it's like Apple. Like, Apple have put out a bunch of movies that have cost $200 million a piece, put them out in theaters. Every single one of them bombed. They don't care, because to them, like, making these movies, that's just a write-off at this point. They make so much more money from a bunch of other stuff. Making these movies, it just gains them new subscribers, new data harvesting, methods of being like, oh, look, these people watch this at this time. We can sell that off to all these different places. Like, that's the reality of it. If we can maybe get some good movies, that's an accident. The fact that we got Project Hail Mary, which cost a lot but made a lot, that's just an accident. That's like turns out we actually can make a good movie every once in a while that actually does well. Who knew?
Well, you get the right people and not hacks.
That's the thing. I like Masters of the Universe, but I don't like the way that it comes about, that some big conglomerate wants to go, we'll just spend all this money that could have literally funded a bunch of other much better projects. Like, no good movie is worth destroying an industry. Put it that way, okay?
Well, maybe you're wrong about that.
No, I'm completely
Maybe you don't know about Hollywood accounting.
Oh no, Hollywood accounting is going to say, actually it made money because we got
brand deals. We sold our lollipops with the He-Man and the merchandising.
All those kids
you factor in the
toys.
Blu-ray and the VOD, the licensing in the next 5 years.
Yeah, man, we made so much money on the Blu-ray in
sell the toys. We got the toys of He-Man. We should make a $1 profit, which is that worth it.
Blu-ray is now 20 years old.
Shit, yeah.
Came out June 20th, 2006.
Fuck, still looked great though.
Yeah, maybe not those first ones. Apparently they looked bad, but man, I still buy Blu-rays. Like, there's still new titles that come out on Blu-ray, and I'm like, this looks fine. Like, 4K is great, but 4K is expensive, and a lot of places don't want to do 4K, and I get it. It's
a niche thing to own a physical copy now.
Yeah, a lot of people still just buy DVDs, and I get it. Like, I know people that are younger than me who are like, oh yeah, I've got like a DVD collection. I'm like, on Blu-ray. I'm like, nah, I don't really like Blu-rays. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You're buying something. You're actually, physical media is the way forward. Fuck streaming services. Fuck Amazon.
Yes.
Sorry for any person who might be offended by my language. I did mean it, so get over it.
Yeah, fuck you.
Shall we do some reviews of our two films?
Let's get into it. What do we start with?
I mean, big fucking movies over the last 2 weeks.
Couple big ones.
See, now I'm going into a mood. I should maybe tone that down. I reckon we start with the oldest one. We'll do Disclosure Day first.
Yep.
So that's good. Do you want to kick us off there, Rhys? What is Disclosure Day about?
Steven Spielberg is back with yet another Alien movie.
Surprise.
Alien invasion, or is it not an invasion? What is it? It invokes the Roswell conspiracy that aliens crash landed here. And Disclosure Day obviously refers to showing a tranche of documents about these aliens, but that's not really what the movie is about. The movie is about Emily Blunt as a weather woman. And you've got Josh O'Connell. I think it's Josh O'Connell.
No, it's Josh O'Connor.
O'Connor, whatever. Who gives a shit? He's fucking average.
Yeah.
You've got him. You've got him as a guy who's hacked all these documents and he wants to release them to the public. And he's being chased by, the corporate arm of the government that's protecting all these alien documents and whatnot. And so much of the movie is really this mystery about what's happening to Emily Blunt. She's talking in this strange language. She seems to have some psychic powers. And basically it's a big chase movie. I mean...
Yeah, for the most part.
And then the climax is really the disclosure.
Yes. Not to really spoil anything, but yeah, kind of... I don't know, maybe some people were
expecting... It's more like the day before Disclosure Day.
Yeah, kind of.
That's really what...
I think some of the... Do you think that maybe some of the trailers were not misleading, but... didn't really know how to sell it. Like, they maximized, it's Steven Spielberg. Like, his name kind of means something, sure. But even, there's certain shots they showed. I think the Super Bowl trailer had, a shot of a ship coming through the clouds.
Yeah.
And maybe some people think that, it's going to be an actual aliens are coming down to say hi again. But not really to spoil anything, that doesn't happen.
The vibe of the trailers is this revelation will affect the whole world. So naturally the question is, what's going to happen? How will it affect the world?
Yeah.
But the movie is not about that at all.
No.
So it's I'll be honest with my thoughts. I thought it was pretty entertaining because of Steven Spielberg's beautiful directorial flourishes. But man, the story was a letdown. It really was. It left me. It felt like it left me with nothing.
Okay. Because it's been about 2 weeks since we've seen it.
Yeah, so I've marinated on it, and I'm like, man, it is disappointing. It was a very disappointing movie, and I have no urge to revisit it, really. Really good things about it that I liked, and a really nice presentation, but just a fucking whiff of a story.
Interesting, because I think I really liked it. I think it's
the
more that I've marinated on it, the more I've kind of come about and thought, because I think maybe initially I was a little unsure about where it's going or about certain revelations, or even like there seemed to be like a lot of plot Spielberg.
I just thought it had not to go too random, but even the opening shot of like the wrestlers.
It starts with a wrestling sequence, which
it was
weird.
very like a guy getting kicked in the head, and you're like in the point of view of the guy getting kicked in the head, and you're like,
it's bizarre.
Why is that the opening scene?
I don't know. I feel like Spielberg was.
It felt so random.
It is a bit random. So maybe like initially I was like, oh, I don't know about that, but then as it progressed, I was like, okay, that's fine.
I just thought it was a kind of a ridiculous way to start it, but it set the tone of like, this doesn't feel like it's come together really well, you know.
Well, that's interesting because like I read I read Empire magazine. I still have a subscription to the UK version, which cost me a lot of money, but it's fine. It's sometimes good, and that's worth however much hundreds of dollars a year. But one of the most recent issues was full splash page sort of interview with Spielberg and how, you know, how much has kind of gone into the production of this movie, where it's all come from, reminiscing on his career, talking about things that worked, things that didn't. And he talked about how when he wrote this story, he wrote it sitting out on his backyard under an umbrella as it was raining, and wrote it all like on his notes app on his iPad. So I read that before we went to go see this movie, and I kept thinking about, I don't know, certain plot beats, certain plot devices, certain things, certain themes in particular, and I kept coming back to this thought of him just really like, you know, he's what, definitely into his 70s at this point. He's already made
80 now, I think.
Yeah, he's made some of the greatest movies ever, and that legacy will stand the test of time. He very well could just stop making movies and it'll be fine. Like if he wanted to, he's had a better career than pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
But he still continues because he's got something inside him that he wants to still say, which I love. And I think
you can say that for any filmmaker, though.
Well, but I think some filmmakers do it better than others. I mean, his contemporaries that, you know, started up with like Francis Ford Coppola, De Palma, even Ron Howard, their most recent movies have been, well, frankly, awful.
But that's the problem. It's like, I don't know what he's expressing with this movie. Like, there's ideas in there, but it feels...
I think it's him being very optimistic in a way that I think is a little odd, because like his optimism was definitely something that influenced Close Encounters. And there was kind of like this sort of, this wondrous aspect.
That's a very simple, you know, easy to understand story.
So I think it's the same question of like, what would the world do if aliens were real? It's the same question from the same person, but two very different answers in two different times. His answer in the 70s is, well, we'd have this organization. They would work for the betterment of humanity to discover and understand. And that's, it's like politics, you know, that's what politics could be. It's like for the betterment of mankind. But in 2026, it's division, it's hatred.
Well, the movie alludes to this backdrop of like world conflicts, right?
Exactly.
Which is quite resonant with what's going on today.
I mean, there's even a scene where Emily Blunt is talking to her boyfriend, and behind them is just a bunch of people just going mad at a gas station, like, you know, mad filling up pumps and all this sort of stuff. And I just thought, ooh, that's pretty close. A bit rough.
Yeah, I know.
It just feels a little too close to home.
I know.
The last couple of months of this year.
But the movie poses this question of really, can people handle this information?
Yeah.
Like
it doesn't. But also, what I like
revelation.
Is that it asks those questions.
But it doesn't. What I'm saying is, it's not answered. Like it's not. I mean, they leave it on an interesting note. I will say it's an interesting. But it's just like, okay, you bring up the question and also like the aspect of religion. Which is, you know, interesting. Mm-hmm. Again, it just felt very underbaked. Like that thread felt very loose and then forgotten about. But it was very interesting, I thought. Like I was like, that should almost be the main character. Like someone.
I agree. That, maybe
you know?
it because it's kind of a bit more of a subplot is one character.
But it felt backwards, because I'm just like, the main plot is this gobbledygook about what happened to them as kids with the aliens, and they've got these powers now. And, you know, there's this little cult that rebuilt Emily Blunt's home.
Yeah.
That bit was just like, I'm getting lost. Like, why did they do it? Like, I was confused about it, and I didn't.
That was honestly, I mean, like thematically, it's the idea that like a lot of what really does affect us today is something like we need to kind of go back in touch with sort of not like a childish aspect, but to understand that like our upbringing does make us to not, because her character is very sort of, she keeps going on the run, like not on the run, but like she keeps changing jobs. She hasn't figured herself yet out at like 37 or 40 or whatever, how old she is, and she needs to kind of remember the sort of simplicity, the sort of emotional sort of simplicity of being a child, or even just kind of not to push down even something that might be actually a little bit traumatic. I mean, what happens to her is insane and bizarre, and you would try and push that down, but to not like push that down, to kind of bring that up, to actually let that come out, even if it's hard, even if it's it's difficult to deal with. Like that's what she ends up doing, and that kind of gives her this real sense of clarity, because before that she's having like full-on panic attacks, and she doesn't know like if it means that she's having like onset Parkinson's or what the hell is going on in her brain. And it's when she actually kind of gets in touch with the inner child, to put it in a simple, I mean, Spielberg's always been a bit, let's just face it, like sentimental. He's always been like that. But I also would appreciate that like his sentimentality has actually kind of plagued some of his weaker movies. Like some of his movies have been weaker because he gives into that. His insecurity kind of takes over, and he allows it to be too dominated by, say, like John Williams' score. I rewatched a couple of Spielberg movies before this, particularly Empire of the Sun.
Great movie.
I don't like Empire of the Sun. And I found out kind of why is because I think that the story is fantastic. The idea of, World War II kind of playing out before this child's eyes as his entire world dissolves around him and all that he's known. But he still has this childlike sensibility about, the fighters and about planes and the sort of, even like the glory of war. Like it's happening before him, and he still was like cheering on these planes, bombing like facilities and probably killing people, and he's still cheering it on. It's that sort of like dichotomy there. But I don't respond to that, because I'm seeing Spielberg at a time where he hasn't yet figured out how to be really, really serious. And he only really figured that out after Schindler's List, when he made something that was so just heart-shattering on every level, like this incredibly human masterpiece that he did. Before that, it's a different movie, and then afterwards, when he does something like Munich or he does something like Lincoln, he's a very, very different filmmaker. And I noticed that particularly in this movie, that like John Williams' score, like he has a John Williams score, and it's a nice score.
It's not memorable,
but I don't think it's meant to be memorable. It's meant to kind of simmer. It's meant to be like
I thought it fucking interrupted the movie at points. Like
really,
yeah, like when they're at looking for Emily Blunt, and she's hiding with the magical alien device.
Yeah.
And Colin Firth, who's the one doing the pursuing.
Which I think it's more of a comedic moment. So that's.
But it should be very tense, and they're playing this like whimsical score while they're tripping over each other.
I thought that was incredibly entertaining.
It wasn't like shit. It was just like it. I wasn't into it. Like
it wasn't shit.
It wasn't. It wasn't. None of it was shit. It's just like I felt like the movie was blocking me from really getting into it at points.
I mean, I think it really does build. And personally, I think it builds a very, very good tension to that sort of final sequence, and the way that the final sequence sort of plays out was very. And it kind of struck me for a loop of like, oh, that was interesting. Okay, that's not how I expected this to kind of go down. I think maybe I expected something that was a bit more confrontational. But again, Spielberg's done that. He's done a confrontational sort of final showdown of some type. Here, it's literally just people watching screens. He's trying to communicate his message about humanity and about our understanding and our interpretation of things we don't understand in a way that people mostly understand things today, which is looking at their screens, watching something through a screen. Like that's how most people, you see that. You see the whole montage, all these people around the world, and they're just looking at phones.
When the alien stuff is disclosed, there was one really effective shot I liked of everyone looking at their screen while the baggage no one was touching it. Yeah. It really communicated like the gravity of the moment.
I mean, that's the thing. You can't deny that, like, as a visual
that's
storyteller.
What I mean. Like his directorial flourishes like that are great.
He's never lagged on that, except maybe for Ready Player One, but that's because that movie
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull I wasn't crazy about either.
When he lets CGI take over, that's when you really just don't feel, and especially with the BFG, Like I think that's one of his worst
seen
movies.
it. Yeah.
That's mostly CGI, and you can really feel like
Tintin is CGI, but apparently that's good.
Again, that's an insecurity thing. Like I feel like it's either when the score gets too heavy or when it gets too CGI. That's when you really feel him not really not connecting well with the material. Which is why like a lot of people have talked about with this movie, saying that it's his best in 20 years. I've heard this sentiment, which I disagree completely, because I think that he's made plenty of great movies in the last 20 years. I think people who say that
more than this movie.
Maybe. I definitely love West Side Story and The Fabelmans.
I want to see those. I want to see The Fabelmans.
So you haven't seen either of those?
No, I want to see them.
See, I would highly recommend both. But that's the thing. Both of those were not the kind of movie that I think people wanted to see from Spielberg.
This is the subject matter gets people's interest because you know it's UFOs.
And I think that's why he made it at this point in time, because it's not like I say it's a last gasp as if he's desperate. But I think given his age, very similar to how Scorsese operates now, the projects that he makes is not because, I've wanted to do this for a long time. It's more of like, no, I feel like, not to say that this is the last gasp of my career, but they're in their last act, based on their age. And it reminds me of when Akira Kurosawa finally was given an honorary Oscar at age 83. Mm-hmm. And he gave this speech, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but he said basically, I've worked my entire life to understand cinema, and now at age 83, I finally have understood cinema, but unfortunately, it's too late. And I think, and funny enough, Spielberg was one of the people that gave him that honorary Oscar with George Lucas. And I think that Spielberg and Scorsese are of the same sort of mindset of, they're at this stage in their careers, they could do anything they wanted to, even if it still gets a little hard. They have to work with streamers or whatever, or compromise on budgets or something like that. But they're trying really hard to make stuff that is going to be sort of like ultimate statements. Like, this is something that Spielberg wants to say about where we are on this planet right here and now in 2026, and the best way he can do that, because also this is his first modern set movie in decades. Most of his movies are set in some far off sort of adventure sort of kind of story in some different time period.
Contemporary.
Yeah,
but that's, I don't know, it just didn't leave me with anything interesting to think about, I guess.
Okay.
So I was just a bit
I've been thinking about this movie like consistently since the last 2 weeks.
I don't know. I didn't feel like it gave me much.
Okay. See, I would think that you probably represent more of, not to say the general population, but this movie hasn't gone down with, like high praise, people saying, oh, it's one of the greatest movies ever, or the best movie of the year. A lot of people have been mixed on it. A lot of people have kind of come out saying, oh, it was interesting, because I don't think it's one that people necessarily expecting. Like, the conclusion, I think, really kind of soured a lot of people. I guess maybe they were expecting something bigger, some kind of major confrontation, but it's not. It's mostly just people going, hey, watch this montage, and that's it. And it's like, okay, that's, again, I did not expect that. I think maybe it did throw me for a bit of a loop, and I reckon that some of this doesn't work as much for me. I think some of the tone gets a little complicated. Sometimes it dances between harder drama and maybe some like sillier aspects, and I'm trying to negotiate how I feel about that. Sometimes it can be a little too mixed, a little too muddled. I think there's maybe sometimes a bit too much going on.
Too much going on. I didn't really buy Colin Firth as the villain either. Yeah. Really, it was sort of a lackluster performance.
Okay. Yeah. No, I could probably see that. I think Colman Domingo's fantastic.
He's not fantastic. He's okay.
Okay.
He's okay in the movie. It's just very like magical Negro shit.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. It really felt like that.
I felt that he kind of like has like an insight that like, well, okay.
It's literally magic.
Magical Negroes is an interesting, that goes into a whole other thing, because
I'm not saying Spielberg is some racial person.
No.
I was just saying it felt like, this really warm-hearted, all-knowledgeable...
Well, he's not...
He was almost like Professor Xavier or something. It felt just a bit too fantastical and silly, and especially his little rivalry with Colin Firth.
But that's because they have two very different
I get
points
that.
of view.
That's what I'm saying. I get that. I get what it's saying.
That goes down to the question of how, what do you do? Like, how would humanity
like Colman Domingo has faith that people can handle that information, and Colin Firth believes they can't handle that information.
And that's that's the opposing, views of that.
Yeah.
If you want to say Charles Xavier, then maybe Colin Firth's Magneto. There you go.
That's what it kind of is, I suppose. Like, I don't think that's a deliberate parallel, but it's just some thought I had when I was watching it.
I think it like, I don't know. For me, Coleman Domingo,
I'm serious. Like, we won't talk about this, but watch him in like the last episode of Euphoria. That's a fucking powerhouse performance. And it's a different thing. I understand. Yeah. It's so different.
He's just an incredible actor that has...
He's doing what is asked of him. Like, I know what's asked of him in this movie.
He has range.
He does. But he's supposed to provide this, like, very warm presence, this, like, optimism in the movie. Like, I understand what he's asked to do, and he does it very well. Honestly, I'll say this as well. Josh O'Connell is just... O'Connor. Overrated actor.
I love him in this movie.
I really liked him in Challenges, but... And he's good as Prince... In The Prince and the Crown.
Prince Charles, yeah.
Prince Charles, he's good in that. But just this other shit I've seen him in, like Wake Up Dead Man and this.
I think he's terrific in Wake Up Dead Man. This is interesting from you.
No, he's just... It's okay.
Okay.
I don't feel like there's much... I don't want to see what he's doing. Like, there's nothing compelling about what he's putting out there.
I don't need him to be the greatest actor. I think he just...
I'm not saying he has to be the greatest. It's just... It's boring. Like, it's not... It's like watching nothing. And... Emily Blunt is great in the movie, but she's really carrying a lot of it, on her shoulders. I feel
completely. I think that I don't think that she's carrying. I think that she's just doing the best job with also a very, very meaty performance in that she has to dance between so many different emotions.
Yeah, I'm saying she's great.
Yeah,
she's great in the movie. She's by far the most interesting.
What stunned me was the car chase that leads to them getting shoved against the oncoming train.
Which that was a pretty cool sequence.
Yeah, that's an incredible sequence, and I think it's really well directed in that.
Yeah,
it's just
the clarity of action and
the clarity. Yeah, and his editing.
Yeah,
him with Sarah Brochar as the editor as well. It's all very clear what's going on. You don't lose it in like overcutting or something like that. But then that leads to the panic attack that she has inside the carriage, and I think that. Those two together, it's just fantastic. Like, they bounce off each other so well, but to a point where, I don't know, maybe in a lesser movie, you'd make Emily Blunt younger and they'd have like some weird romantic thing going on. But I like that it felt more, maybe not like brother and sister, but they just had this very solid platonic relationship, but one that I felt that they had this just, inexorable connection with each other. That they just couldn't resist the fact that they have information, they know things about the way that all of this is happening. And sometimes they would probably choose to not have that information, but they just have this incredible drive to keep going. And I just found that incredibly compelling right until the end.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea that he has one piece of the puzzle, she has the other, and they have to be together in that way. And there's so many other little visual flourishes that are just stuck in my brain. There's one that unfortunately has been revealed in the trailer, the way that it pans up from a little girl to a deer, and then the deer becomes something else. I'm like, that is just the transition of that I think is fantastic. So Spielberg's not lacking in visual flourishes, but I think, I don't know, overall, I'm not surprised that this movie's getting mixed reactions, because I think it does ask some very ambitious questions, but also even the ones that I love from Spielberg recently. The Post didn't get glowing reviews. People thought it was okay. Bridge of Spies, people thought was okay. I remember a lot of people actually didn't like Lincoln when it came out because...
So this is going to be remembered as a classic in 10 years?
Not to say that it's going to, get remembered as a classic, but I think some people, because Spielberg has made Jaws, Close Encounters, E.T., Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, he's made some of the greatest movies that we'll ever have. Like, he's done better than most other people. And I think maybe sometimes people put him on, not to say a too high pedestal, but even people maybe expect something that he's just...
But he set that standard.
Well, but I think it's also he set it accidentally. Sometimes when he's intentionally trying to get to that level, he fails. He gets too far. Like, War of the Worlds is trying to be too much, I think, like a big blockbuster type movie. I think that movie fails because it's trying to be big and entertaining and have these great car chases, but it's dark. It's way too dark to kind of warrant some of the more like fantastical stuff. I think that this movie kind of finds a much more even balance between darker elements and his more, boisterous popcorn entertainment type sentiments that he's always had throughout his career. I think that this one finds a bit of a better balance because I think that, into his 80s now, I think he's just a much more emotionally secure filmmaker than he was even 20 or 30 years ago, where he might give over too much to John Williams doing some big bombastic score or let all the CGI take over. Like, it really doesn't have those elements. A lot of the action is entirely in camera. The score is pared back. It really just kind of simmers. I listened to it again. There's not these massive, big, sweeping themes. I don't need that. Again, for John Williams, I've had that. I've had Star Wars. I've had Indiana Jones and Superman. And they've already done all this. I think
so. Let's watch them do something like that's a much faded version.
Not to say faded. I think it's just it's older men who are not going to do the same thing. They're doing something different. I think sometimes. I mean, West Side Story was not a big success, but people have now realized that, actually,
the people like that movie. The people who've seen it.
Critics liked it a lot, but nobody saw it. It was a huge bomb. But people have now kind of, over the last, 5 years, realized this might be the better of the two movies. It might be one of the best musicals ever. And the Fabelmans made no money whatsoever.
But notice how we're not talking as much about Disclosure Day because
I think you have to look at Disclosure Day in the context of not just his entire career, but particularly his most recent films. The way that he wants to see movie making is so much more personal because he's gone through so much, and I think he's putting a lot of that in this movie. Does it work entirely? No. Sometimes I think it doesn't click.
See, you're taking a very academic, intellectual
that's why I see Spielberg.
Overview of the whole thing. I'm just looking at it as the movie that it is. At the end of the day, it's just a movie.
Well, because I keep putting that into my brain. I can't help but watch this movie and go, oh, that's him riffing on a little bit from Duel, or that shot feels very Minority Report or AI artificial.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's even a better example. AI artificial intelligence. That movie, when it came out, people thought that he had done a hack job with Kubrick's writing, that he had made it too sentimental. But he has said on record with that film that all the parts that people thought were big and sentimental and soppy, they thought that was him.
That was Kubrick, yeah.
That was Kubrick. And all the dark stuff is him, is Spielberg, sorry. And even myself, I did not like AI when I first watched it. I thought that it works, and then the ending is soppy trash. And then I watched it again 5 years later after that and realized, oh yeah, no, I like it a lot more, sure, but still, maybe not too hot on it. Mm-hmm. And then I rewatched it again only a couple of years ago and it floored me. And I think that's his credit, is that every time he makes a new movie in the last 20 or so years or 25 years, there will be a lot of people who say, oh, this isn't one of his best or whatever, but again, you give it time, people do come around. Scorsese, he can make a new movie out of the gate and people say it's the greatest movie of all time. And he keeps doing that over and over again. But Spielberg, I think, because he's so big, people just have to put up him up to that point. But, you watch these other movies and you watch even this one. It's a $115 million movie, but a lot of it is very interior. He doesn't have it be dominated by larger set pieces. There's really only 2 action scenes in the whole movie, but I still felt this propulsive nature to it. I still felt like it just kept moving along, because I think that's the quality of his direction and the performances as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I didn't hate the movie or nothing like that, but it was just, I just felt the ideas were shallow, underbaked, didn't lead anywhere interesting, and
So you wouldn't watch this again?
I wouldn't have, I don't know, maybe years down the track I could watch it again, but it's just, yeah.
We'll circle back around 5 years later, see how you feel.
Maybe, but for now, I'll give it 6 thumbs up.
Okay, I'd give it 8 at this point.
Okay, that's a pretty high
rating. I would put this, I think I even said this at the time, I would put this on the same level as Lincoln. I also, and this is kind of a tangent, I rewatched just before I saw this War Horse, which I don't think I've ever actually watched from start to finish.
Yeah.
Not perfect, sometimes a little too stagey, but man, the cinematography in that is some of the best I think that they've ever done. Him and Janusz Kaminski, who shoots all his movies since Schindler's List. There's shots towards the end that I'm like, that's just ripped straight out of John Ford. And Spielberg's now talking about, one of the movies he really wants to do. He's always wanted to do a Western. And I think
that would be cool.
Spielberg Western,
I'm surprised he hasn't done one.
Yeah, I think he could do. And he says that if he would do one, he wouldn't make it very stereotypical. He'd make it, the way that he would do it. And I want to see that, And it's rough to say, like, what do you think his last movie is going to be? I'm like, if he could do a Western as his last movie, I think that's a perfect full circle right there, based on where his
I would
career
be interested
started.
in watching a Western from him.
For sure.
Sure.
We'll move on. That was a long discussion, but we'll move on to Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 5.
Most recent one. Probably the biggest movie, much, much bigger than Disclosure Day. It's looking to have a debut of $320 million.
People can't get enough
worldwide.
of those toys, huh?
Yeah, I know.
You wouldn't know it from the plot synopsis. You'd think toys are out, but no, toys are fucking in.
No, toys are in. These toys especially.
At least on the big screen, they're very much in.
Even like the lead up to this movie, people were like, "Oh, why do we?" Even I was like, "Why do we need this?" And then it finally is coming out. It's getting pretty good reviews.
I've talked to some random people who are not cinephiles, and they're like, "There's a Toy Story 5," and I'm like, "Yeah," but apparently it's getting a lot of attention.
I mean, this is the same thing as like Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Zootopia 2. These are sequels that people really didn't need, but I
think that's kind of the problem. I mean, not to get jumped too far ahead, but it's like, well, in most people's minds, and probably rightfully so, it ended perfectly at number 3.
Yeah,
I mean, that's everything.
I agree.
Everything after that, and not to jump too far ahead again. I did like 5 more than 4. Which I didn't like that much.
I would put him on this. I can't decide because I think it's still pretty fresh in my brain. Plot synopsis: Jesse is kind of the main character now.
Yeah.
There's a new toy which is an iPad.
Toy antagonist, which is an iPad, kind of
Lilypad.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a leapfrog type thing, but it's much more of an iPad because it's got like apps and it's got the internet coverage. Obviously, the theme of the movie is, to how technology is kind of influencing kids' brains, and it's making them more antisocial and more aware of their own emotions, even when they're 8 years old. There's a lot of very kind of harder hitting aspects. This is something I think was maybe missing from Toy Story 4, which is much more of like an adventure type movie with Woody kind of going on a whirlwind adventure through a carnival or whatever. And that one's fun, but it doesn't have the sort of
have the human element.
Yeah, it was lacking a human element. This one has much more. I actually felt very, I don't know, like not to say traumatized, but like it kind of brought up some things that I'd even experienced when I was a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, because Bonnie is the main girl, the sort of the owner of the toys now, and she gets a lily pad, and it influences how she wants to make friends. She's obviously a very shy girl, and she tries to make friends, and it doesn't go very well, or it becomes this point where she feels a lot of social anxiety, and she's 8 years old.
I love the depiction of it, because with the toys, it's like something that enhances her life.
Yeah.
Like she enjoys it, and it's just pure joy.
Yeah,
and the lily pad becomes just a lifeline. It's very desperate. It's the only way she can make friends, it seems, or connect. And
the character of Lilypad is like, it's brutal. Like, it just doesn't care about these toys and what they want to do. It's like, no. On a whim, I can get you thrown into the garage and to be never seen again. It's like,
and I like
okay.
that they show the sort of evolution of it, because you've got the toys, and then you've got these like little in between things that are kind of toys and kind of tech, like Smarty Pants.
Yeah, like these old. I remember having something like that, like a camera that's not very good.
It's like a toy, and it's like a piece of tech, and then you get to Lilypad, and it's like more of a piece of tech than a toy.
Yeah. And Smarty Pants, as you met, is voiced by Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, great little character.
Great get. I really, really like though that the last movie was much more of a Woody story, and maybe sometimes
pretty much ended his story
to the most part. And he's back in this movie, which I'm a bit mixed on how they work that in.
Well, you basically didn't need him in the movie.
No, but it's nice to still have him.
It's nice, it's entertaining, but it's getting to a point where now it's like,
you have to
we're running out of things for them to do.
Yeah,
we have to rehash.
I mean,
the Buzz and Woody rivalry.
The success of this movie will most likely guarantee a sixth film.
Yeah, which kind of nuts.
I like the idea of, and this is going a little bit ahead, but I really like how this movie is Jesse's story, because Jesse, is a great character, and from Toy Story 2, just like you rewatch that movie. You watch that movie as a kid, you're like, oh, Jesse's fun. She goes, yee-haw. And then you watch the movie as an adult, it's like, oh, Lord. Oh, this hurts.
I got to say, I actually remember seeing Toy Story 2 in the theater
Whoa.
And I distinctly remember the "When Somebody Loves You" scene.
Yeah.
I couldn't intellectualize it at the time, but it made me bawl my eyes out, even as like a 6-year-old.
And they show an element of that at the start of this movie, and they use, a score version of that song. I'm like, oh, don't cry. Don't cry. The movie's just started. Don't cry. Because it's so rough. But what I really enjoy is that, and this is not to spoil anything, they deal with that.
Yeah, they come back to it.
With how that has affected her character in a way that doesn't ruin the sentiment of that, of Toy Story 2.
No.
But it recontextualizes how Jessie shouldn't be so hard on herself. She's always been a character that's defined by her anxiety. And I feel like the fact that Bonnie is also now experiencing that, and Jessie's always dealt with that, it's an incredible connection that they can't talk to each other. But Jessie is still trying to communicate these ideas by being this inanimate object that has a life of her own. But she, they still have that barrier between the two of them. And I just love that sentiment. And I feel like it does remind me, at least, of a lot of the issues that Woody has in Toy Story 3 and where Andy's going in his story. And the fact that we can have that connection between the two characters is kind of the testament of the writing quality of practically all these movies that we're 5 movies deep. Hell, even if you want to consider the 2 TV specials that I own, that are also really, really good, Toy Story's never been bad. It's not like Cars where, the first movies are pretty good, but the sequels are bad. No, Toy Story's always been good. Like, even people who don't like 4 can still say, look, it's okay, but you're putting it up against some of the best animated movies of all time, bar none. Like before 4, it was the greatest trilogy, really. Like,
and
up
some
there with
people
Star
really
Wars.
like 4. I mean, it's not.
I really like 4.
Yeah.
Some people really don't like it and choose not to watch it, like Quentin Tarantino, friend of the podcast. But I think that this one, I think that 5 kind of reaffirms more of 4. Like it makes sure that 4 wasn't just a fluke, wasn't just like, we'll just do this one just for the hell of it. Now I feel like it's now building in some way. I don't think this movie stands on its own, but if there is a 6th one, that would be a Toy Story saga that, I mean, that's better than anything. I can't name to you a series of movies that's 6 films that are all like, 90 odd, nearly 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, that everybody likes, that have all done well. Like, that would be a miracle. That would just be that would be the craziest thing. But at this point, 5 movies deep, all right, bring it on. I'll probably be like 37 by the time it comes out, but bring it on.
This didn't have "You've Got a Friend in Me."
Yeah, it has a Taylor Swift song, which
sucks. By the way, it's a shit song.
Yeah, I would say
it's like something you'd hear grocery shopping and you'd forget about. Like, it's such a bad.
You just know that is Taylor Swift wanting to get an Oscar.
Yeah, I hope not. They will nominate her, but it's fucking a lame
because she'd
song.
really tried to get a new song in for Cats, and that did not work.
It's like, we got this emotional movie. Let's suck all the air out of it with this shitty Taylor Swift song.
It didn't really make an impact on me, like pretty much all of.
No, I'm exaggerating, but it's just. Yeah,
I feel like because.
It's just terrible.
I knew it was coming, and then it happened, and by that point, we're leaving. I'm like, I'm not even gonna have to listen to this. It's fine. It's there.
Well, at least it's not in the movie.
Did they even use "You've Got a Friend in Me" in the 4th one? I don't remember.
I actually don't remember.
No, because
I think they did.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's like, why not use it? The opening is almost kind of creepy or cold, like with the buzzers in the container, and they're all like
that's a big
bugs. Like,
I don't want to say mixed, but the way that, and this was kind of revealed, that there's a shipping crate full of Buzz Lightyear toys that become sentient, and they're all exactly the same. They're the high-tech versions, so they all got this like internet connection for all of them.
Yeah.
And they go on this weird quest to kind of just, not even to really go anywhere, but just to kind of get involved with the main plot. And it doesn't happen for a really long time through the movie. It starts with them, and then it keeps cutting back to just them being like doing stuff. But what I liked is that what I didn't like was the cutting back and forth. I think the cross-cutting was a little
It felt a bit random.
Yeah. I think the plot of this movie just kind of sometimes moves way too fast. There's maybe a little bit too much going on.
Yeah.
To disclosure date. Sometimes I'm like, all right, we can slow it down. We're doing like 4 things at once.
We're following 4 groups, and
there's 3 different locations that we've got characters in. It's a bit complicated. But there's also some sentiments that the team of buzzers kind of comes to before they get to the main plot. I'm like, oh, that's nice. We kind of got this little mini story going on. Hell, I think that could have just been its own little short film. Like, just how did these buzzers kind of get out into the world, and the way that ends is very satisfying. There's a little plot twist that happens with these guys that...
Yeah, it's great. It's a great reveal.
It reminded me... Pixar's had this is the second Pixar movie this year. The first one was Hoppers, which I really, really liked, actually. It was a nice, genuine surprise. And they also have a similar twist involving flying. Mm-hmm. That one's way crazier. Just like, who the hell came up with this? But I like that. I like when Pixar is more madcap. When they're trying to be a little bit too serious, I think sometimes it works. It depends if you're made by Peak Doctor, then yes, I think it's going to work. Like Inside Out and Soul, sure, that's going to work. But like Elio was not crazy enough, in my opinion. I thought that, what was the other one? Luca was fine. Like these sort of like middle of the road type plots. If you're making a Pixar movie, you need to make it crazy. You still need to get some themes there, sure, some emotional aspects, but you need to just... It's still a cartoon, so be a cartoon. And that's what I really liked about this one, like all the Toy Story movies. It still remembers to have crazier aspects. Like, don't worry about it being too silly.
I could feel the Inside Out influence in this movie, where like the human girl's emotions are like the real center point of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than I think they ever did with Andy, or... Yeah, I think this has the strongest like human story.
Bonnie is... as much of a main character. Like, Andy's always in the background, you know, in the same way that Bonnie's in the background in Toy Story 4. Like, she's there and then stuff happens to Woody. But this one's like, no, it is Bonnie and Jesse's story. Maybe to the detriment of all the other side characters.
Well, I think the first one is so effective because you got the contrast of Sid and Andy with playing with toys, which is just, it's simple, but it's awesome.
So I think this one, I think that's actually, that's definitely something I love about this, is that it's a bit more of a risk to kind of say to people, like, can you be on board with this story if most of it is going to be this little girl trying to make friends, you know, and how do the toys get involved with that? And it gets crazy, obviously, but I mean, I think that's why it affected me so much, because I'm like, I dealt with that sort of stuff of, you know, not being able to make friends back when I was much, much younger.
Yeah, or you know, you're made to feel weird when you're trying to share your interests.
Yeah, like it also gave me a lot of sympathy, because it's like, obviously this is a modern set movie. It's got technology involved. It's like, if I had those issues back when, you know, the best phones that I had had screens the size of an actual thumbnail.
Yeah.
How are kids these days with their iPads and all the technology? Well,
that's why they're banning social media here for kids.
It's not the worst idea, because this movie really kind of... It does, I think, get to a point where it's, okay, you can have it work into your daily life. You don't have to pick one or the other. You don't have to be a caveman, but you also shouldn't be a slave to this. There is a balance. And balance, I think, is really the truth of everything. And I think that's what many parents would probably, you know, identify with, is that you have to balance it. You can't just ban it completely, because then that can turn into other problems.
Well, you know, they make these things to be addictive, so it complicates it.
And they even show that with even the toys. They start to kind of get a little addicted to even just looking at the screen of the sort of constant scrolling. It's like, it is hypnotizing for even these, like, you know, weird, don't even think about it, how are they alive type things. Like, I love that aspect of it. This is also directed by Andrew Stanton, who directed Finding Nemo and WALL-E. He's pretty good at making Pixar movies, bad at making live action movies, but he's very good at Pixar.
What live action did he do?
John Carter.
I'm sure it's a good movie.
No, it's not that great.
Just because it's a box office bomb doesn't mean it's bad.
Well, I rewatched it and it's not great. He also directed a movie this year called In the Blink of an Eye, which is awful. I'm so sure bad that it was supposed to come out in theaters, but then Disney just went, chuck it on Disney Plus and tell nobody. And I watched it, and it is the poorest man's sci-fi, like Interstellar type movie. It is shocking how bad that movie really was. So it's nice that he has a good movie this year.
It was co-directed by McKenna Grace, I think.
Kenna Harris.
Harris, yes. And she co-wrote it as well.
Yes, it's actually they.
Oh, they co-wrote it, yeah.
They're actually someone who's worked a lot in the senior creative team and as a story artist, which naturally happens for a lot of people who end up directing Pixar movies, is that they start, you know, in sort of, not to say the doldrums, but they start like just being around, and they work enough on, you know, helping out here and there for all these movies, and then they go, hey, do you want a shot at this? It's like, yeah, sure, I'll take a shot at co-writing and directing Toy Story 5. No pressure.
No pressure.
You have to make sure that this
couldn't look any more detailed. I mean, the amount of detail they put into. I liked the animation, imaginative sequences when they're playing with the toys.
Yes. I was very, very creative.
I was like, that's a great touch. I mean, that's a good way to keep the visuals fresh and different.
I will say that in comparison, I think Toy Story 4 looks better because Toy Story 4 was more.
Well, that looked really good.
That had like a widescreen aspect ratio. This is just the. Not to say boring, but like just the normal flat version.
I will say Toy Story 4 was jaw-droppingly beautiful. Yeah.
So I think I missed some of that, but I guess maybe that was kind of the different angle they wanted to go with, which was more like anamorphic type shooting. Here, it's something that's a bit more consistent with the previous films, which is still fine. It's not a massive issue. It's cost $250 million.
Yeah,
that's not surprising. Pixar movies, Disney movies, a lot of animated movies.
You think it's cheap to get Tim Allen and fucking Tom Hanks to do this shit again?
I just think that like they just do.
No, they're getting a lot of money out of it.
That's true, but like they just make so many aspects of this so detailed, and they talked about Pixar talked about recently that
Jesse's hair alone. It's like I can see every knot of.
There's a texture to Bullseye now. Yeah, I've never noticed before. I'm like, oh my god,
there's all these new textures every installment, and you're like, how much more? Yeah, like I said, detailed could this possibly look? It's nuts.
It's incredible, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that Pixar tried recently. They talked about how they tested AI generative tools for their pipeline. Just tested it, being like, let's see what it could do, and then went, yeah, we're not going to do this because, regardless of if you like or dislike the movies, and sure, I've disliked plenty of their films. I've loved many, but disliked a fair few. They still have a very, very dedicated quality control for their movies. They do not let things go just being like subpar animated. Everything that they make is very, very detailed. You will not find, animation errors in any of their movies. Sometimes you might find that in Illumination because they're a lot cheaper and they outsource their stuff, but that's why they're also so expensive because all their animation is done in-house. So it's that team. Yeah. They don't outsource.
Not shipping to India or something.
Yeah, or Korea or something like that. Yeah. So that's, look, $250 million, that's a lot, but they're going to make $1 billion. For sure. The last two have. I can't imagine why this wouldn't.
I imagine all have good word of mouth too,
Yeah, I think this is going to play really well throughout almost the entire US summer period. It's got Minions and Monsters as competition, but apparently that's not tracking very well box office wise. Like
that's just like a gimmick. Like Toy Story is the real deal.
Guess who's in the new one?
Some asshole who?
George Lucas.
Oh,
he's voicing himself.
Great.
This was confirmed, and apparently he said that he's a big fan of them, and he wants to be in the next one. I'm like...
Well, he had Minions in the prequels, didn't he?
What?
There were Minions in the prequels, weren't there?
Oh, yeah, the Pictroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure that's right in line with his taste.
But it's along the lines of, like, Martin Scorsese being in Mandalorian and Grogu. It's like, I guess these old directors is like... Gotta do one for the kids, even though my kids are really old now. They're in their 30s.
Well, that fifth jacuzzi doesn't pay for itself.
Fifth jacuzzi.
I would give this 7 thumbs up. Solid 7 thumbs up.
I would agree. I'd be on the same level. 7 thumbs up. But yeah, it's good.
I will say it was good, well detailed, funny. We are kind of circling the drain of the same themes a bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. If they do
doing the same thing a bit,
if they do a final one, do a Toy Story 6, like really find something where it feels as final as Toy Story 3 did, where that really felt like, oh, this is.
I'm sure they'll do something where they wrap up Bonnie's story with the toys, but it's like then it's quite repetitive, so you got to do something kind of different.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Let's see what happens. And you know what? At this point, I have faith that they can do a good job because they've done it 5 times now, and it hasn't really disappointed me.
Well, they don't just shit them out. I mean,
it's taken 31 years.
To
make these,
and they're all beautiful in their own way.
Yeah. So, again, even little spin-off, TV specials, Toy Story Terror and Toy Story Time Forgot. Yeah. They're also really good as well. Like, it's a golden franchise. It really is. Mm-hmm. I'm also very connected to it because I was born November 22nd, 1995, which is exactly when Toy Story was made.
Oh, well, bully for you, huh?
What did we watch recently, Rhys, apart from Disclosure Day and Toy Story 5?
We checked out Casino Royale.
Yes, that was at the Revival House Theatre. It was on film.
Yes.
They played a trailer for the movie before the movie. That was fun.
That's annoying.
Love when that happens, even just in a normal theatre. But especially when you know that the ads and trailers were specifically curated by even, good friends of ours. Like, the fact that, I don't know, it happened, I was like, how did you go, what?
Just
why
play a
did you guys
different
do
Bond
that?
trailer.
Huh?
Play a different Bond trailer.
I guess
There's
the idea
hundreds.
was that they were trying to play trailers for all the Bond movies that they were playing, but...
You don't have to do that. They don't do that sometimes. They'll just play trailers for shit they're not showing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. It was an odd choice. Anyway,
odd choice.
The movie was fantastic.
It's 20 years old and it fucking holds up. It is timeless movie.
It's odd that I forgot how entertaining it actually is.
It's pure entertainment. They've got the perfect balance of it being like, we're getting away from the ridiculous camp and gimmicky crap of like Die Another Day.
Which was only 4 years before that, but it feels like a million years. It's insane.
It is a considerably more serious movie. I mean...
It's Batman and Robin and Batman Begins.
Yeah,
That's
the murders he commits at the start, it's like, wow, it's brutal the way he's killing them, like 007 earning his 007 title. And yet, the movie is... got a light touch to it too.
Yeah.
It's just...
I forgot that.
Bangingly... It's a banger of a movie. It moves... There's a lot going on, but there's like not reams of exposition.
No.
And the diabolical villain, it's like they're there, but they're always like an unseen presence.
Well, the fact that also, I mean, and maybe this is a benefit of the original book, is that Le Chiffre is not the way that Bond villains became, even in Die Another Day, where they're, powered by diamonds, and they're also secretly a North Korean man that looks white for some reason, whatever the hell that was, and uses a sun laser. But Le Chiffre is just a banker with a bloody eye. A bloody eye
and a penchant for torturing.
Yeah. He has a bit, but also he's in deep. He's in
a desperate situation.
He's constantly desperate, incredibly sweaty. Like, he's just...
I noticed the greasiness on his...
Great sweaty performance by Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah. He's always contorting his face to make it look uglier. Yeah. Like in the movie too, which I appreciate.
Incredible. And I also forgot that...
Because he's a dashing man. I mean, he's handsome in this movie.
Handsome.
But he's doing shit with his face to make it unappealing and gross.
I mean, also, what a way... I know that he had been in a bunch of movies beforehand, but what a way to really kind of make your mark for most audiences, because a lot of people saw this movie being like, hey, check out this guy, he's great, and he's going to be consistently great for the next 20 years. He's going to be in Star Wars and Marvel, and even though some of the time people don't deserve him to be in those things and he's going to get wasted, he's still going to be great. He's going to be Hannibal.
He doesn't phone it in.
Yeah. Daniel Craig is just... is there any Bond that in one movie... I mean, they kind of all do this, but I think this is truly like... This is my first shot, and I'm going to come out of the gate just like a bullet. Like, it is go, go, go the entire time. He doesn't let up. He doesn't have this moment where you're thinking, oh, maybe he's going to get a little bit better in the next one. No, from the off, he's just perfect immediately.
Yeah.
Even if the character is not, he's still a bit rough around the edges. He's only just got his 00 license. Like, obviously, the way that Sean Connery is introduced, or Roger Moore, or Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, they all, really do a great job in their first outing, but he just sets the tone so perfectly for what you're going to get from this Bond, which is brutal, but also still can actually pull off like a decent joke, even when he's, just gotten poisoned, just like, you're okay? Like, oh, you're not thinking about going back there. It's like, wouldn't dream of it. And it keeps going. And...
Yeah, no, he puts the light touch in too to balance all the killer instinct and stuff.
Yeah.
It's an awesome movie. I think it's the best Bond movie.
I think so too, and which is weird that you wouldn't expect that after what? At that point, it was 44 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. At that point, they were like, this needs like a fresh coat of paint.
And
like,
it shouldn't have
rebuild.
It should have, like, by all metric, by the previous movies that they'd made, by the track record that they'd gone, hell, they were still using the same writers. Neil Purvis and Robert Wade had written the last two at that point, which were not great. World Is Not Enough is boring as hell, and Die Another Day is the worst Bond movie.
Yeah.
So why would those two on this movie turn out the best one? Like, that doesn't make any sense by Hollywood metric. They should still do a hack job.
I think it's just the approach is the approach was right. Like, they had a much better approach to this. It wasn't just another sequel.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, we've got to pretend like there's never been a Bond movie, and we're doing a credible version of it, which they do. And, obviously it's got the best Bond girl ever, Vesper Lind. Evergreen.
I don't think there's really any comparison.
There's no comparison, and I could see the mistakes they had made a few movies down the line when they introduced Spectre.
Yeah,
they do this thing to make it personal for Bond, where Blofeld is his brother. But I'm just like, you had a perfect setup here that he's trying to avenge Vesper's death or something, and he could have hated Spectre from. It could have been personal just from that.
Yeah,
and then they overcomplicate it with all this other shit.
I didn't see that. So after watching this, I got home the next day. I just randomly downloaded Quantum of Solace because I went, look, obviously Quantum of Solace is meant to be a direct sequel.
Yeah,
let's give it a shot. And in 2 seconds, I went, no, never mind, because I just remembered exactly what happened in that movie and went, no, it just doesn't. It's good if you skip everything and just get to the very end, and he does the whole dealing with Vesper's boyfriend.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
Great scene.
Yeah.
But that comes...
And really the only thing you need to see.
No, because the rest of the movie...
The rest is just bullshit.
It's kind of crap. Like, I've always hated it.
I mean, it was made under terrible circumstances with the writer's strike.
Also some of the worst editing I've ever seen. There's a specific shot. He's talking to Mathis. He finds Mathis again, and he's having this sort of talk with him out in, I don't know, some foyer or something. Like, they're just sitting at a table, and it's like a boring normal conversation. And Mathis has got this girlfriend who's like, oh, put some sun lotion on me, and it cuts to her, cuts back to him, and he's got this weird face as if he doesn't like her. Cuts back to her, she says nothing. Cuts back to Bond, and Mathis has disappeared.
What do you want to know?
Come with me.
Oh.
Amore, dai, vieni, voglio sentire le tue mani sulla schiena.
What?
It happened so quickly, and it's so obvious that they were shooting that whole thing through a writer's strike and had no script.
Yeah.
And that's the worst. And for as much as people don't want to like Spectre, I will happily watch Spectre any day than watch Quantum of Solace again.
It's a much more competent movie than...
Spectre's a boring Bond movie, as much as like any Roger Moore Bond movie can be, where it's just like, oh, he's going through the same thing again, here's a villain, here's a lady,
Christoph
or whatever.
Waltz sucks balls in the movie.
That's why I think I said this to you at the time that when we saw Casino Royale, that I like Spectre more because No Time to Die was good. If No Time to Die was bad, then I wouldn't have liked Spectre anymore. I'd be like, cool, then it's just Casino Royale and Skyfall for me. But because No Time to Die kind of dealt with a lot of the messiness by completely getting rid of Spectre, killing Blofeld, and also still, having sort of the start of that movie, Bond goes to see Vesper's grave. Yeah. It's like, cool, we've dealt with that, but now he's focused on his new love. There we go. Blofeld's dead. Spectre's dead. And then that's the end of Bond's thing. I'm like, cool. You dealt with some of the dumber aspects of Spectre, and you still kind of validated its existence anyway. Like, you still kind of need to see that movie to understand who Lea Seydoux is and why is Christopher Waltz.
Yeah, there's things they set up in it, but it's just...
It's fine. Like, now I'm like, it's fine. But I don't think that it's as awful as people still say that it is.
I would say it is.
Okay.
I would say so.
Maybe I'll rewatch it and maybe I will hate it.
The opening in Mexico is a cool little sequence.
Incredible, yep, sure.
Really cool.
Oh, we could really talk about Bond forever. I'm now into a Bond mood. I just want to rewatch.
Play the game.
I will replay the game. Yeah, he gave me the game, and I will play it.
I finished the game. Terrific game.
Yes.
9 out of 10.
First Light.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
They set up Spectre in that game in a really cool way.
We actually had this discussion after Casino Royale, and we'll put this out to you listeners if you actually do want to communicate with the show.
They do.
Good. That's fantastic. Do you think that a new Bond movie should be a period piece set in the 60s, take it back to the old roots of the Sean Connery years, or should stick with the modern setting as pretty much every Bond movie has been?
I say modern setting.
I say period setting.
Okay, let me explain why I say modern setting.
Go for it.
James Bond, books, movies, whatever, games, it's never been a thing that looked back and was this vintage retro thing.
Okay.
It's one of the appeals of Bond is that it always kind of gloms onto what's kind of trending at the time.
Yeah.
While still being Bond. And that's one of the wonderful things about it. And I know we live in a shitty era of like AI slop and social media, and it's like things are kind of blah. I do get that, but I genuinely believe there's a way to make it cool and in the modern era, and 007 First Light proves that. They did it in 007 First Light. It's set in 2026, and it feels like it, and Bond is 26 years old in it, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Like, I'm falling in love with Bond all over again.
Interesting.
So why do you think it should be vintage?
Well, see, I completely agree with you, but here's where you're wrong. No, I feel like it should be a vintage, or at least I think it will be. Maybe I don't think it should, but I think it will be because it does give filmmakers a much freer opportunity to get into sort of what Bond movies feel like to them, for example. I think it also... you can get away with a lot more of the politics of the Bond character. A lot of talk of like, oh, he should be this ethnicity or something like that. I still think he should absolutely be a white man because that's the point of the character. Idris Elba has said that in the past. But I think that you can get away with that with just him being who he is in the 60s more than in the modern day, because the whole thing of him as a character is, even in GoldenEye, they were saying, oh, you're a dinosaur. And I'm like, is he? Because it's the 90s, it's different, it's weird. I don't know. Sometimes I think the modern setting can sometimes harm the character, because I think that the very nature of him maybe sometimes doesn't fully work. I think it worked better with...
I think it fully works, and it doesn't work when they get too self-conscious about it, like they did with No Time to Die.
It's interesting that I think the real direction...
He doesn't have to be like this virtuous, heroic character.
No, of course. I think the interesting aspect, because I think it's okay to do young Bond in 2026 the way that First Light does, where you leading up to him getting his 00 status.
Yeah.
But I don't... It really depends on who they cast. Because if they're casting someone who is maybe closer to 30, and they're saying, you're a dinosaur, I'm like, is he? I don't know about that.
They're not going to do that, though.
I know, but I feel like...
You can modulate his traits, which may be perceived as sexist or racist or whatever. You can modulate that enough where it's...
also some of the more fun aspects of Bond that people really do love is the gadgets or the one-liners or the silly names or the really ridiculous villains who have giant...
Yeah, you can get more comic booky with it, or you could be more grounded with it too, like, Casino Royale did.
Because we've already had Daniel Craig's era, which was incredibly grounded, sometimes a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I think that they will take the other swing. I think they'll go more comic book. I think they'll go more Roger Moore with it. Personally.
I think there's a great balance to be struck between the larger than life stuff and the grounded stuff.
Well, see, that's where I think getting Denis Villeneuve is a very interesting get, because I mean, look at what he's done for Dune. That at one point was done in the sort of much more gaudy 1980s weird David Lynch movies, a disaster production wise, but it's, big bold colors, and he takes a more grounded approach but still finds a way to put in some of the weirder aspects, some of the more bizarre things that have been part of those stories, and we're going to be seeing him do that again with
they haven't done the flight navigators or whatever, so I don't know.
Yeah. So
do the weird shit.
We're getting into like clone stuff for Dune Part 3.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know, I really hope that he still continues to be the director for Bond, because I think he can do probably the best job out of anybody. It's also interesting because, and this is a bit of a tangent, but he's kind of the first, I mean, apart from Sam Mendes, first time that they've picked a director who's like a true
big name.
Yeah.
They usually use journeyman.
Yeah, very much so.
To do the Bond movies.
All of the movies from...
Because, it was like the MCU. It's like the broccoli producers, they have the thing they want.
Yeah, they're the filmmakers.
They're the real kind of filmmakers, but now it's a little different.
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve, I'm not totally excited about him doing it. I mean, I love his movies, but it's just, you got to have that...
I just have faith in them, though.
You got to have that... Can he do humor? I don't know. Like
some of Dune can be actually quite. Dune Part 2, where they're doing like, he denies he's this son.
That's true.
That means he must be.
That's true.
Oh, of course.
That was
like
good.
Monty Python.
Yeah, that was quite good.
So I think he's got the capacity for it. I think it's like Nolan. Like, they have the capacity to put in stuff that's actually kind of funny, but the surrounding film doesn't feel very humorous. It feels kind of cold or dark or grounded or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he has the capacity for it. I wouldn't...
Can he do like a fun sense of adventure? Like, I hope so.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm also just kind of a bit wary because there's also some rumors about with new Bond movie that Jeff Bezos wants to put his new wife in it as a Bond girl. That's not confirmed, but if that happens, I swear to God.
Well, he's got the purse string, so
he's the one fronting it. Really,
you can have a Bond girl, just have her in there for one single scene. That's fine.
No, even that's too far. I still don't want to see any single frame.
I don't want to see his girlfriend. Fuck no.
her.
But you know, realities are what they are.
Yeah, we'll see with Bond stuff. I don't know why we just did a weird Bond tangent.
It's not weird. I mean, it's weird about it.
I started looking at Bond stuff, and then my algorithm just goes like, "Hey, here's this random clip from a Bond movie." I'm like, no, stop listening to me.
Yeah, well, that's what it does, doesn't it?
Let me do it by myself. Next episode, we will be covering, most definitely, Supergirl, and I think we'll definitely do Jackass Best and Last.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see that as being an actual movie. I think it's going to be more of a clip show, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, hey, if they're elderly and they're doing this, it makes it funnier. So
stick around for that, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to contact the show, we are moviesarebackpodcast, all spelt out in letters, at gmail.com. You can find me on Blue Sky. I am Christopher John spelt with a 0. On there, it's like Blue B Sky Social or whatever the hell. I can't explain it. That's what it is. Rhys is found nowhere.
You can find me right here.
Exactly. So stick around for that. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you later.
Bye.